Previously on Crowforest Reviews. I know what this goes to. There was an old work shed behind the Phantom's lair. I tried the door when I was there last, but it was locked. I wondered what was inside it. Now I guess I'll find out. And now the conclusion.
What was it? Nothing. You were right. He was just taunting me. Which is why we need to be focused on ending him once and for all, and not falling for his mind games anymore. Where were you?
In Lego World. I found something that might help us.
What is that thing?
Oh, just some old book calling itself the Necronomicon, or some such. Looks like just the sort of creepy old book that might have the sort of dusty old spell that could help us.
The Necronomicon? That's no creepy old book of dusty old spells. That's an ancient tome of eldritch magic.
Same thing.
So, do you want to look through this, or should I just throw it away? It's kind of gnarly looking. Throw it away? Are you crazy? That could be our one shot at ending the Phantom! What's a book like that doing in the Phantom's trophy shed? Maybe it's the book that the cult used to resurrect the Phantom. I thought that it was a trophy shed, but maybe it was a shrine constructed by his insane followers. Or maybe his followers just adapted his trophy shed for their own use while the Phantom's been away. It looked as if far more time had passed in Lego World than the 4 years that have passed out here. Perhaps hundreds of years. So, what are we doing? I'm going to read through this. There has to be a spell in here we can use. Well, I have good news and I have bad news. What's the good news? I found a spell that will send the Phantom back to hell where he belongs. And the bad news? It only works on the demon days. December 27th through the 31st, when the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest. So there's nothing we can do until after Christmas. So where does that leave us? The nightmare before Christmas.
first reviews. Well, since I can't really do anything else, and considering current events, let's talk about The Nightmare Before Christmas. So this is that. The movie opens in the wood between the worlds from the magician's nephew, before the camera immediately flies through the pumpkin door, and we start right in on This Is Halloween.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween, this is Halloween.
Wow, they are not wasting any time giving us what we want to see. The opening song number is quickly followed by a second musical interlude, in which our main character, Jack Skellington, laments how he has become discontented with the repetitive nature of his existence.
Pumpkin King would tire of his crown. He'd give it all up if he only could.
Yeah, apparently being rich and famous sucks. Who knew? Meanwhile, Sally is having problems of her own. Namely, having to deal with her overprotective father / mad scientist corpse reanimator. But enough of that. Cut back to Jack, who has somehow found his way out into the wood between the worlds. How? Isn't there some kind of a magical barrier preventing people from just wandering out into the wood between the worlds? And if there isn't, then how come Jack is the first one to have found his way out to it? I have so many questions! But oh well, never mind about that. We have another musical interlude to get to.
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere.
Wow. This is the third song number, and we are not even 15 minutes into this thing yet. So Jack goes through the door in the tree that has a Christmas tree on it, and he's so excited by what he sees there that he sings a happy song about it. Well, going around town and generally being a creeper. But it's not really his fault. He doesn't really know how to not be a creeper, considering that was kind of his job in Halloween Town. You know, professional creeper. Back in Halloween Town, the mayor realizes that Jack is missing and sounds the alarm. Because I guess they have an alarm for that? Seriously, who just has alarms for specific situations that might come up? And Sally drugs her father so that she can help find Jack, but by the time Sally makes it out, Jack has already returned. Jack calls a town meeting to tell everyone what he saw, and predictably, he decides to tell everyone in song. So Jack tells all of the Halloween horrors about the wonders of Christmas, and it's kind of surreal. Upon realizing that the others just aren't getting it, Jack decides to do some research to try and figure out the best way to get his friends to be more receptive to Christmas, ultimately deciding to conduct a scientific experiment, even borrowing some equipment from Sally's father, the mad scientist. Sally breaks out of the vault where her father had locked her, and she goes to deliver a bottle to Jack, who appears to have come very close to cracking the Christmas code. And say, it's been a little while since we've had a musical interlude. Best fix that.
Christmas time is buzzing in my skull. Will it let me be? I cannot tell.
Through the power of singing, Jack comes to the conclusion that he needs to dress up as Santa Claus and bring Christmas cheer to the citizens of Christmas Town. And so, to that end, he hires these three little horrors to go and kidnap Santa Claus, which they do in song. Why can their bathtubs walk? Why would that even be a setting on it? So after that disturbing sequence, we get this horror rendition of Jingle Bells. Well, that's disturbing, but I'm kind of here for it. The three little horrors from before come back to deliver Santa to Jack, but they got the Easter Bunny by mistake. So, I am officially counting this as the Easter review that I forgot to do. I mean, that I didn't forget to do. Because this is it. That was always the plan. Anyway, have another song number.
Making Christmas.
The horrors of Halloween Town try to make Christmas happen, but they are all far too enamored with the dark and scary to understand the concept of anything else. Meanwhile, in Christmas Town, the three little horrors that Jack hired have finally managed to kidnap the real Santa Claus, and they bring him to Jack.
What? Why, you have hands! You don't have claws at all!
Yeah. Was that your whole point of confusion? Anyway. Jack tells the three little horrors to make Santa comfortable, which they interpret to mean take him to see Oogie Boogie, which sounds distinctly uncomfortable. And, of course, Oogie Boogie has his own song number.
You're joking! I can't believe my eyes! This can't be the right guy!
Meanwhile, at the Christmas party... That is the most badass entrance to a Christmas party ever. Anyway, Sally tries to stop Jack from flying around to deliver presents by spiking the fountain with fog juice to make it foggy, which is totally how that works. But it doesn't actually work because Jack realizes that he can still see through the fog by simply ripping off Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So Jack flies off, and, having failed in her plans, Sad Sally sings a sad song of sadness.
I sense there's something in the wind.
How sad. So Jack flies to Christmas Town to deliver his hellish presents to all the soon-to-be traumatized kids. But he does it with the best of intentions. Following a brief montage of horrors, the citizens of Christmas Town have had enough, and the military is deployed to take Jack out. And having heard it on the radio, Sally goes to free the real Santa Claus so that they can go save Jack. So Jack's sled is blasted out of the sky, and he has a sad song number, well, sitting on the songbook of a weeping angel.
Well, what the heck? I went and did my best.
Interesting choice of settings. Jack laments the fact that despite his best efforts, he just wasn't able to bring Christmas cheer to Christmas Town. And so, realizing that good intentions simply aren't enough, Jack returns home to Halloween Town. But Jack still wants Christmas Town to be able to experience Christmas cheer, and so he decides to release Santa Claus so that he can return to them. But Oogie Boogie doesn't want Santa to leave, and so Jack has to fight him, eventually ripping Oogie Boogie's face off, and revealing that he was a giant pile of bugs the whole time. Ew. So Santa returns home to Christmas Town and saves Christmas. Meaning that, once again, Christmas was saved by someone who is not Kirk Cameron. Back in Halloween Town, Jack is welcomed back by his fellow horrors. And then it starts to snow, because this was technically a Christmas movie, and as such it is contractually obligated to have snow. And so, the movie ends with one final song number.
And sit together now and forever.
So that was The Nightmare Before Christmas. How was it? That was really good. The story may have been a little basic, but the animation, well, it's certainly not for everyone, is absolutely incredible. And a lot of the songs were really good too. Well, that's all for now. Until next time, I've got a phantom to confront.
Transport inhibitors are in place.
Excellent. Activate the beams the second the transport cycle completes. We're not letting him warp out this time.
Ready.
Energize. You know, I've had a lot of time to prepare for this moment, waiting for the demon days. I've had a lot of time to think about what I would say to you, all the questions I would ask you. But even with all this time, the only question I can think to ask is why?
because I could.
And that is why I will feel no guilt whatsoever doing this. You brought this on yourself, Phantom.